Chiefs-Chargers tonight. Mahomes and company favored by 3. Patrick has said he wanted to air it out more and has done so in the preseason for what it's worth. This preseason, he's averaging 10 yards per attempt and almost 12 yards in the air. Compare that to the last 2 seasons where he hasn't been throwing it around so much. Are we expecting Mahomes to light it up tonight, bro?
I don't expect the light show. I expect the Chiefs victory. I expect Mahomes to play well, particularly situationally, fourth quarter, all that. But last year, they scored 17 and 19 points against the Chargers in the 2 games. Mahomes threw for 245 and 210, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick in those 2 games combined. And their pass defense last year was good, like the Chargers.
Yep.
They gave up over 250 yards, I think, twice the whole season. So, and also, obviously, Rashee Rice isn't there. If there's a light show, to me, it means Xavier Worthy has taken a huge step, which I kind of expect him to take a step this year, but that he really has just become something teams can't deal with. So I expect them to win, Mahomes to be fine, but I don't expect a huge, prolific passing game.
Yeah, I'm hoping that they're not gonna push the light show narrative and then Patrick Mahomes gets lit up, because that can happen too with the Chargers. They're 5th in the league last year in sacks with 46 sacks, and until you figured out how good this protection is, how good this offensive line has gelled throughout the course of the preseason, and where the strengths and weaknesses are, I can't imagine that Patrick's going to go back and say, again, like we talked about with Jalen Hurts, I'm going to go prove a point. I'm going to go, explain to or shout out to the league that I'm back. That this prolific passing game is back. Will they take shots? I'm sure they have shots built into it, but hopefully it's not to the detriment of Patrick and whether or not they figured out the protection.
Listen, I think they're going to be very careful in protecting Patrick to that point. I also think that they are, if they do have a bunch of, new wrinkles, I think it might be a slow reveal of those, considering what the game is next week as well against, in my opinion, a tougher opponent. Not a bigger game because it's a cross-conference game, but a tougher opponent. What I do think, though, is I think you are going to see, if you do the average depth of target stuff you're doing or air yards, him pushing the ball down the field more. I don't know if this will be the type of game where, and this is going to sound a little nerdy, but it's a factor we don't talk about enough. I don't know if the Chiefs are going to have enough possessions to rack up, huge yardage, because I think Harbaugh's game plan is going to be run the ball, grind the clock. You know what I mean? Like yeah, he loves it. But so shorten the game. But I don't think the Mahomes passing chart last year, a lot of games looked like the Jalen one I showed. Just a lot, a high completion percentage, but a lot of stuff at the line of scrimmage. I think you're going to see a lot more in that 10 to 20 yard range where you didn't see as much last year. I just don't know if they're going to have 10 possessions in this game. They might only have 7, in which case you're not going to have the numbers. But I think the Chiefs are much, much better than the Chargers. I don't think
300 yards passing?
Well, that's I specifically didn't say that because of what I was saying.
Quickly, before we get to CMC, I'm excited to see skinny Kelsey, focused Kelsey. Do you think he's going to look different, like better than he was last year?
Thoroughbred.
No, I think the player who's going to look the most different from last year is Pacheco, because he never really came back from the broken leg. And I think the player who's going to look the most impressive is Xavier Worthy, who I think is going to look like a true number 1 receiver. That's what I think.
Very skinny.
Xavier, yeah, I understand. But by the way, one of the games that they played against the Chargers is the game Rashee blew his knee out. You know what? Or the game when the Mahomes throws the pick and the Mahomes. So that was a weird
pick.
Do you think the bad field is going to affect the passing game?
I don't want to talk about the bad field. I'm nervous about. I'll be honest. I don't want to talk about the bad field.
I like that Travis Kelce. I like Kelce on a bad field. I don't like Xavier Worthy.
Yeah, I don't either.
San Francisco playing Sam Darnold. No big deal. Won 14 games, 4,300 yards last year. Sunday at 4 on Fox. CMC limited at practice yesterday and skipped his scheduled media appearance, Brew. Missed 13 games last year with that calf. That kind of spread to the other calf. Might be a flare-up. We do have an updated tweet from Dusty. Christian McCaffrey is warming up for practice.
But he's practicing I have an update to that.
You have an update to the update?
He's practicing on a different field. Huh? Like he's doing his own thing. He's not practicing
with the trainers or whatever.
Bruce, so there's new data. we always lock our predictions in as, in stone, basically.
Hold on, what is this?
Well,
The season started last night.
Bru's a journalist.
The season started
Bru's
last
a
night.
journalist. He gets new data.
What are we doing?
Not for the Niners.
What's the whole point of predictions week?
It's fluid for
The
Brew.
season
You know
started.
what?
He's
You
a
know what?
journalist.
Let me make it easy.
Waves the
Let me make
pom-poms
it
for no
easy.
one.
I ain't changing. All right, you can go on your little soliloquy. I'm not changing.
Are you less confident than you were?
I mean, look, losing Christian McCaffrey is huge, and I mean, you just can't count on him. I mean, hopefully it's not like last year where they didn't think it was that big, and then he basically doesn't play. Thank goodness for Brian Robinson Jr., who is not phenomenal, but he's a good running back. I think Ricky Pearsall is going to have a good year, and I think Purdy and Pearsall are going to have a nice connection. Ayuk will be back at some point.
And Jennings is back and healthy.
Jennings is back. And Jennings is really good. He's a really good number 2 guy, or 3, whatever you want to call him. So I'm going to stick with the Niners. I mean, I think the defense is going to be much improved. I think Purdy's going to have a nice connection with his weapons.
Is there a path for the 49ers to make the playoffs without a healthy CMC, bro?
Yeah, I think so.
There is
Because
a
the
path,
schedule
it's
is
just
That's true.
very filled with
It's rocky.
Yeah, it's a lot of trees and boulders and maybe a couple thunderstorms, a cliff.
The schedule still is light. The schedule
But
still
at
is
some
It is.
point, you become the light part of people's schedule. Like that's the
that's
thing. You
very
know what I
true.
mean? Like that's the thing. This, in my opinion, I didn't pick the Niners to make the playoffs. If I had, this news would have been enough. Like if it
To change.
for a week ago, you know what I mean? When we could, yeah, because I think he is far and away their most important non-Trent Williams player. I guess second most important player.
Yeah, it's not even close.
And I actually agree with you, Brew, that Shanahan has shown that he can get a lot of running production from a lot of running backs. It's what McCaffrey does in the passing game that I think would be really, really missed. Now, again, it's not even like they've ruled him out for week 1, but it's an ominous sign.
Cavs are having a
That's
moment.
what they were saying last year.
And it's a bad moment.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.